I wish to start this session by quoting Shiv Khera, uh, especially the book called You Can Win. The cover of the book has a very nice message. It reads like this: Winners don't do different things. Winners don't do different things, but they do things differently. So I think that is what is going to be the focus of my presentation today. That as law teachers, we don't need to do different things. We only need to learn how to do those things, what we need to do differently. So we only need to learn how to do things differently, so that we try and succeed in this profession. So distinguished participants in the faculty development program, so at the outset I wish to congratulate all of you for choosing to attend this program, and I could see the lineup of speakers you have. I must appreciate Professor Bismi Gopalakrishnan for getting such a wonderful galaxy of speakers, expert in their own right, going to address all of you for the next few days. And I wish you all the best in advance for successfully completing this program. So in this session, I intend to flag some key issues associated with teaching and learning for your extended learning. I request all of you to kindly focus on those issues so that you can equip yourself to face the challenges posed by globalization on higher education. Coming back to Shiv Khera's opinion on what winners do, or to put it simple, for knowing how to do things differently in teaching, there are certain prerequisites. So we need to know that, we need to do a self-introspection, we need to see what is the expectation, and accordingly we need to prepare. So as I said, there are four important things that you need to note down. One is, we need to be conscious. We need to be aware of all the developments that is happening around us. We need to be aware of the fact that the learners are changing. The nature of legal practice is changing. That's something very, very important. I'm going to go deep into it later. But then the outset, I would want you to note these four things so that it will be easy for me to take you through in this session. So we need to be aware of all the developments that's happening around us, especially two things. That number one, the learners are changing. The generation what is there in our classrooms today are not the same as it used to be. It's a totally different different generation altogether. I hope many of you who are teaching these students currently might understand, might appreciate my thought on this. This generation is completely different, and for knowing about the qualities of this generation, the attributes of this generation, plenty of literatures are available, especially the millennials and the generation Z. So the millennials and Gen Z, what are the attributes of this generation? I think it's essential for any teacher to know them better so that you can customize your teaching according to their needs. So that is something, one thing that we need to be. And the second thing that I would want you to be conscious of is the nature of legal practice is changing. Things are not going to be the same. Things were not, or today they are not the same. Like when I graduated, I never knew of any opportunity other than going to a court of law, enrolling, working under a senior lawyer and learning everything in a court of law. But today, I don't see even 10% of my students going to a court of law. Less than 10%. That's the reality. The remaining, where are they going? What are they doing? I think that is something which we need to do that. For example, I can talk about my own son who's a law graduate, graduated a few years back. Uh, the area of legal practice that he is involved in, it's completely new and something that I would have never imagined that this is what lawyers are doing for their livelihood. I'll come back to it exactly that what new things that the lawyers are doing. That's something very, very important. So we need to be aware of all the developments happening around us. Uh, that the learners are changing, the nature of legal practice is changing. That's the first thing that we need to be conscious of. Second is, then we need to recognize those changes. There is no point in resisting those changes. What's happening around you? Everything is changing. The way we bank, the way we book a cab, the way we book a ticket for a flight or even for a movie show. It's all different. Like I know my days as a college student. Standing in a cinema theater in a big queue, you have to go 1 hour before to get a ticket. Sweat out to get a ticket. And today, see the convenience of booking a ticket through Book My Show or any other similar platforms. You visit the Inox platform, the PVR platform, and book the ticket so easily. See the way we bank. I don't remember when was the last time that I had to go to a branch to do some banking transaction. It has become absolutely unnecessary for us to visit bank branches. 99.9% of the work gets done through your mobile phone. If you are tech savvy, you don't need to go to the bank for anything. And I don't remember, as I said, maybe a year or more than that. That I don't remember when did I go to the branch. The same thing, I long time back when I need to book a flight ticket, I'll have to go to the travel agent, sit with him in the queue. There will be many people before me. I'll have to. He will give me options. Then you pay, and then booking a flight ticket was more tedious than flying. But see the convenience today, the kind of platforms that what we have. So all these things are happening around us, and the same thing, is happening in the legal practice as well. Only thing is, teachers in India are not conscious of it. I know, like for example, uh, can you see this book? What I am carrying right now, Artificial Intelligence and Legal Analytics. Is it? Can you see this book?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So this is from the Cambridge University Press by Kevin Ashley, right? And I know when I started preparing for this session, I got it from my library. This is the first page of it. It says Artificial Intelligence and Legal Analytics, new tools for law practice in the digital age. And this book was published by the University of Cambridge in 2017. And if it is published in 2017, I know that the authors must have started working at least 2 to 3 years before. So imagine a university like Cambridge starts working on projects like this, artificial intelligence and legal analytics. It's called new tools for law practice. And even today, people in India do not take seriously how artificial intelligence is slowly taking away the space of lawyers in the legal profession. How machine learning is taking away a lot of work from lawyers. The new age technologies. We are not conscious about it. It's not that it's not happening, it's happening, But only thing is we do not take it. For example, this book, as I said, a 2017 edition book. Uh, when I went to my library to get it, I could see the condition of this book. I thought, who would have taken this book and who would have read this book? Looking at the condition of this book, almost every page is so old now. There are people who are actually looking at these things. Now, only concern is that are the law teachers realizing these changes, recognizing those changes, and start adapting to those changes? So this is my second point that I would want to appraise all of you, that we as law teachers, we need to realize and recognize those changes and start, because you see the chapters here, introducing AI and law and its role in future legal practice, modeling statutory reasoning, modeling case-based legal reasoning, computational models of legal argument, representing legal concepts, making legal information retrieval smarter, machine learning with legal texts, extracting information from statutory and regulatory texts, extracting argument related information from legal case texts, conceptual legal information retrieval for cognitive computing legal apps, right? In fact, I'm going to talk about a few of these technological interventions in the legal space at some time. But only thing is that the idea of this session is to familiarize you with what is happening in the legal practice, so that uh, we are aware of these changes. Not only being aware, we need to realize and recognize those changes. You will have to start involving yourself deep into these topics, and then you should start adapting to these changes. And after recognizing, okay, I know that AI is going to impact legal profession, so what? So it's not going to be that easy asking question like, so what? The third point that what I would want to talk today is, we need to equip ourselves to face the new environment and the new generation. If you would not want to be thrown out as an outdated teacher, you need to equip yourself to face the new environment and the new generation. And the fourth point is how to continue to hone up our skills, because so we as any other woodcutter, we need to spend some time to sharpen our axe, otherwise we are going to fail miserably. Therefore, the fourth point is that we need to be prepared and set apart a considerable portion of our time to hone up our skills to match the expectations of the generation of students which is there in the class, and who are the new generation, especially the generation after Gen Z. They are going to come, the alpha generation, they are going to come. And if you want to know about the characteristics and attributes of each of this generation, which is very, very important for a teacher to understand the behavioral issues of students of each generation, there is plenty of literature available. Please feel free to use all those spaces, right? So that is these are the four important things that what I would want to focus today. First is my request is that you please be aware of your surroundings, what's happening around you, especially in the legal profession, how the nature of legal practice is changing. Second is we need to realize and recognize those changes. Third is we need to equip ourselves to face the new changes, the new environment, and the new generation. And then fourth is the most important thing: set up at some time in your life to hone up your skills to match the expectations of the new generation, so that you are ready to face the next generation. Because you can't, the law teaching can't be the same old again and again. Now, when we talk about the next generation, who are these guys? Who are the next generation lawyers? And what are those skills and competencies that are required to be a next generation? What are those generic skills, the competencies required to be a next generation lawyer? What are those specific skills or competencies required to be a next generation lawyer? Now, you need to know all these things, because when you are entering a first year classroom to talk to the young set of students, directly coming out of school, 17, 18-year-old students, when you speak to them, they come to your class with lots of expectation, with lots of big dreams. And then it is your responsibility to prepare them to be a next generation lawyer, because you are not going to prepare them for today. That is obviously for the reason that they are not going to graduate in the very first year. They are going to be with you for the next 5 long years. And after 5 long years of time spent in the law school with the law teachers, and if they enter a legal profession and if they are completely shocked to see that what was taught to them in the law school has no relevance to what is put into practice, then they feel disappointed. And you and me as law teachers will be responsible for this. So this is something which we need to think about before we take a call on it. Thank you. I'll take it. So therefore, we need to actually start thinking about it, because you need to, anytime you enter a class, you have a next generation lawyer in your class. So this is not a separate alien species who are going to come at a later point of time. The lawyer, the law student in your class is going to be the next generation lawyer, and therefore you need to prepare him today with a vision of at least 5 to 10 years later. So 10 years down the line, what's going to happen in the legal profession? Who should anticipate? You should anticipate as a law teacher, and then start preparing. I used to last week I received a letter from an insurance company which is headquartered in Kolkata, and they wrote a letter to me stating that they would want a slot in the placement, so they would want to come to GNLU to hire students. I was wondering, why is that a company in Kolkata want to travel all the way to the west coast, from east coast to the west coast, come to Gujarat to hire some students? Are the students not available in Kolkata itself? The same question came to my mind when a software company, I don't mind naming that company, like Cognizant Technologies, headquartered at Chennai, they wrote a letter to me, again wanting to sign an MOU for human resource requirements, and then they would want to have a slot for placement, and they are willing to come all the way to Gujarat, to Ahmedabad, to Gandhinagar, to pick up students. Why is that these companies want to pick people at a faraway place? Why not the law schools around them are not able to provide them the required talented uh, human resource? And these companies are not small companies. Like Cognizant Technologies is not a small company. They must have done a lot of research throughout the legal curriculum, what's happening in India, and they must have found something special happening at GNLU, and therefore they write a letter to me that say that we would want to come to your campus to recruit your students, right? And they said that will it be possible for you to visit Chennai so that we can have a meeting with the senior management to finalize our requirements. So I was thinking on these lines as a law teacher. Why is that the law schools in and around Chennai could not provide the human resource required for a company based at Chennai? Why is that the law schools in and around Kolkata could not provide human resource to an insurance company? A big global insurance, it's not a small company, a global insurance company. Why should they spend their time and energy to travel all the way to Gujarat to recruit students? So there must be something not happening in and around Kolkata, or there must be something happening at Gujarat National Law University. So they must have noticed, and then therefore they are coming. So this is something what I would want to use it as an example, my own personal example, to say that companies, the recruiters are actually looking for next generation lawyers. So they do not want lawyers who are trained in IPC, CPC, CRPC, and add them to their legal team, which uses none of this in their office. So that is something we need to find out. Who are the recruiters? What is the change that's happening in the legal practice, and how do we prepare our students? I said, like about my own son, what is he doing? Any law school teaches this? I don't think anybody is doing it, right? So it's a fault on us, the law teachers. We are not taking enough precaution in recognizing the changes what's happening in the legal practice and preparing the students to be a next generation lawyer who will have all the competencies required to be a next generation lawyer. So this is the second question. So first is who's the next generation lawyer? Number two, a related question: what are the skill sets, the competencies that are required to be a next generation lawyer? And how are we going to impart those competencies? How are we as teachers, law teachers, going to impart those competencies which are required for next generation lawyers? And what necessary competencies that the law teacher must possess to impart these competencies to make your present day law student a next generation lawyer? So these are questions. Maybe I do not have all the answers for these questions, but then at least it's time that we need to think about all these questions, the issues before us, which is posing a challenge to the legal academy. So that's what when we talk about next generation lawyers, who are the next generation lawyers? I told you that we need to recognize the changes, what's happening to the present generation of lawyering, what's happening in the legal profession. We need to recognize that the learners are changing, the nature of legal practice is changing. A trend is occurring in the practice of law where fewer cases will go to trial before the court. I'm telling you that courts will lose its place in the legal profession very shortly, with the privatization of dispute resolution happening in the name of arbitration and the courts heavily pushing matters to be resolved by mediation. This is something which is happening around us. A trend is actually happening in the practice of law where fewer cases will go to the trial before the court. And what does it mean? If fewer cases will go to the court, which means fewer opportunities for young lawyers to have their day in the court. And what are we doing in the law school today? We are preparing students for litigation. We are preparing students for an adversarial litigation, and we are prepare the heavy focus is on preparing them to the court for work associated with the court. So the next generation lawyer is not the one who will stand in the court and argue cases. He will be doing a lot many things. He will be involved in negotiation. He will be involved in conciliation. He will be involved in mediation. He will be involved in arbitration, and understand that these are all privatization of dispute resolution. Anyone with money is not going to go to the court of law. They are going to resolve their own disputes within the legal framework by resorting to arbitrations, mediations, sitting in a coffee shop, sitting in a lobby of a five-star hotels, or sitting in arbitration centers, private, luxurious arbitration centers, get the awards as quickly as possible, and going to resolve these things. And they are going to use artificial intelligence. They are going to use the Internet of Things. They are going to use blockchain for transfer of data. They are going to use big data and machine learning for all these things. And with all these technologies, the focus will shift from the present day dispute resolution to dispute avoidance. With most of the legal work will shift to doing due diligence. Today, your students must be working in most of the big tier 1 law firms like Amarchand Mangal Das, AZB, Trilegal, Ketan. Just ask them, what are you doing in your law firm? What do you guys do? Sit in, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the night when the courts are closed at 4:30, 5 o'clock. These guys are not even a bit worried about what's happening in the court. They do not even know they do not know who is the judge, names of anybody in the court. They don't give anything, right? But then they are all working very hard. So what are they working on? They are doing most of the time, you ask an associate, a junior guy who has recently joined a law firm. Your students must be there. Call them and ask them, what are you doing in the law firm? If you don't go to the court, and if you, what is that you guys sit late in the night and do it? 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours in a day. What are you guys working? And they are working on what they will call it as a due diligence. And which law school teaches them how to do a due diligence and what is due diligence, right? So this is something which I thought I will share it with all of you, that the next generation lawyers are those who will not go to a court of law, and rather, in fact, they will be working elsewhere for something else. And what is that something else? And how are we going to prepare our law students for that something else? It should be our responsibility to do that. Now the question is, now we know who is the next generation lawyer and what is he going to do in the legal profession. Now the question is, the challenge before us is, how do we shape the new generation? So for that, we need to know what exactly are the competencies required by the profession. Like I said, like when Cognizant sent this letter to me, I did not respond to it immediately because I was not sure what are they looking for, and I do not want to present my students if they are not prepared for what they are looking for in their company, because they will become a bad ambassador for my university, and I do not want that thing to happen to my university, to create a bad reputation. Therefore, I said that let me come sit with your senior management, understand what exactly your legal team at Cognizant Technologies will be involved in, and let me then decide whether I will be giving you a slot to come and recruit, because I need to know whether my students will have the competence to resolve all your legal issues. So that is something that we need to understand. How do we uh, shape the new generation law? So we need to know the competencies, and for that we need to do a lot of research on it. And what do we mean by competencies? If I say, I've been using this word many times. What do we mean by competencies? Competence, you can just look at it in a dictionary. Competence refers to an individual's capacity to perform a particular job responsibility. It is a skill that you need in a particular job or for a particular task. Like, many times you must have also come out, you must have also come across a story. Like I read it somewhere where, the story goes like this. So there was a ship which was set to sail. It was all loaded. The captain was preparing to leave the harbor. Pilots are ready. But then he finds that there is a failure in the engine. The engine was not starting. So he calls people immediately. Then they could not resolve what exactly is the problem. You know. And then they call some companies. They are sending their engineers. They check the engine, and they give a long list of things which has to be done. You know, mostly these dealers, what they say, you change, replace the part, the problem solved because you get a new part. But then the captain did not have so much of time to replace it. So he says, uh, "Is there anyone, a local mechanic who can resolve this immediately? I don't want my ship to be delayed because it has the precious cargoes which might perish. So I can't afford any delay in it. So I want something to be done." So the word goes around. A local mechanic is called. Man, very shabbily dressed. He comes there, and then he goes around the engine. Then he detects the problem, and then he simply asks for a hammer. And with that hammer, he just hits that engine at a particular spot, and now tells the captain to start the engine. The engine start, and then he gives a bill. Say, for example, 1 lakh rupees. Now the captain frowned on that guy, the mechanic. He says that, what did you do? You just asked for you did not even come with any tool. You just asked for a hammer from me. I gave you a hammer simply for hitting on a particular spot. You want 1 lakh rupees? He said, no, no. Sorry, my bill is not a detailed bill. For just hitting that, I am just charged 100 rupees. But the remaining, 99,900 rupees is for knowing where to hit. Friends, that is exactly is what is meant by competencies. Knowing where to hit is something very, very important, and this is what we need to give our students these skills, knowing where to hit. If we are successful in doing it, I think the next generation lawyer is ready, and you are shaped as a next generation law teacher, right? In fact, when we spoke about competencies, speaking about competencies, I fortunately had an opportunity to lead one of the very prestigious and Erasmus Plus European Union project, which was the project lead was from University of Deusto in Spain. So when they had a project called Tuning India. So the name itself was sounding for sound through some uh, recommendations, connections. I got associated with this project, and later I became the project lead. I started leading this project, And then in 2017, when we started this project, in our first meeting, when the project proponents said that we need to prepare a list of competencies for the legal profession, the what competencies the graduates must possess when they leave the law school. So they were asking, like, do you have a list of competencies in this country? Like, I was not aware of any such thing, so I looked at the other members of my team. Everybody was looking each other, and then we told the Erasmus Plus guys that we really do not have any such document in India which gives a list of competencies that is expected out of a lawyer who is graduating from a law school in India. So this was the situation. In 2017 when we sat together, when the European Union guys asked us, what are the list of competencies that a graduate of a law school possesses? Where is that document? So we were actually searching for the document, and we did not get what are those competencies to be a successful lawyer. And they were frowning upon us. How is that you say that hundreds of years the law schools exist in this country? You have been every year preparing lawyers for the legal profession. But how to believe that your country do not have a list of competencies? Did your bar council did not ask the law schools to come out with a list of competencies? Or is the bar council is not recommending the law schools that you need to prepare students with this many skill sets, right? Uh, this is something. Can I please close this door? It's becoming noisy. I'm sorry for this interruption. There is a lot of noise outside. So this is something which we started looking at each other. What is that? Yeah, they are right. When we have a law program, in fact, our program should have specific program outcomes defined. And then we asked our other partnering teams. They were from medicine, they were from engineering, they were from the field of education. So when we asked, the engineering team was sitting next to us. Then we asked them, "ये क्या है, ना? What are they asking us? Um, do you have something?" Then the engineering guys, they immediately said, "Yes, yes, sir, we have." As a what do you mean you have? What is that? You have? Can you please show us? Then they showed us the program outcomes and the program specific outcomes as recommended by the National Board of Accreditation, the NBA, which was based on uh, the Washington Accord. Oh, then we got to know what is this Washington Accord, what is this EBIT, what is this NBA, and how are your programs done? How do you prepare this list of competencies? So in the same country, there is another discipline which has a long list of competencies readily available to each of the institution. Each of the teacher knows that how the course that what you are going to teach is going to add to the or satisfy the requirements of the skill sets that is expected out of out of the thing. So this is something which was something new to us, and therefore then we started preparing very seriously, looking at the competencies list which is available in the like for example in United States of America, there is a university called the University of Berkeley. So the Berkeley University had prepared a list of factors So you can Google for the Berkeley factors for legal profession or something like that. You can just Google for it. You will get the document. And the American Bar Association has actually consolidated all this work done by many universities, and they have published a list of competencies that are required for the lawyers. What they call it as the lawyer effectiveness factors, and there are 26 of them. So do we have that? We did not have that until we worked something as part of this Tuning India project funded by the Erasmus. Uh, uh, then, then at least now there is a document. Still, now anyway, this document is owned by Erasmus Plus. It's not debated in India. It's not discussed amongst Indian universities. It's not. Of course, we did a stakeholder consultation. So when we prepared this draft list of competencies for lawyers graduating from Indian law schools, of course we consulted stakeholders. We got their opinion through structured questionnaires by sending that list with for a peer evaluation to fellow teachers across law schools throughout the country, and then we also discussed it with the alumni, the students, current students. We also discussed it with the big recruiting houses, and then asked them that is this what you are looking for when you look for a lawyer. Uh, these are the skill sets that you are expecting a lawyer must possess when you hire somebody. So then we prepared after all those stakeholder consultation. We prepared it very scientifically, but still, it's still a private document. It's not published. Shortly, it will be published by Erasmus as part of the Tuning India project. But then, what I would want to say is that at India, nationally, we have been having almost around 1600, 1700 law schools in this country. We law teachers never came together to discuss about all these things. Somebody coming from Spain has to ask us that what are these competencies, and because they gave us all these wonderful opportunities of flying back and forth to Spain and to different cities in Spain and different cities in Europe, we also enjoyed that, and then we took this opportunity to discuss about it. But my question is, why is that we have not done anything on this? Do we know what exactly are the competencies which are required, uh, which are expected out of graduates passing from any law school in this country? So this is something which I thought I will discuss it with you, because that's something which we need to put our energy in. So that is what we need to work towards, preparing a competencies based education. As I mentioned, the things what's happening around us, it has changed very drastically. It's changed very, very drastically. uh, uh, for example, if you look at you know uh, I think it will not be out of place to quote Albert Einstein, because he once quoted that insanity is nothing but doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. So why suddenly this came to my mind is that this is what we do. We do the same thing again and again. We go to the same classroom, same teach the same subjects without thinking of any innovation. Applied either to the curriculum or to the teaching methods. But then we expect different results. So we have been doing the same thing again and again for years, decades, and for centuries. But we expect miracles to happen. You know So this is something which I feel that innovation in teaching, law teaching, is the most important area of legal research that we law teachers need to research on and learn from. And when we talk about innovation, again, there is a misconception. There is a common belief that innovation in education is something related to technological advancements. However, in reality, innovation in education transcends all these technical expertise. The words innovation and learning are synonymous with human nature and tendency. Both these words are beautifully interdependent on each other. While the stress on innovation can't be higher, it is a well established fact that innovation is driven by learning. Therefore, there is a need for shift in focus from innovation in teaching methods to innovation in learning methods. Many of my students, after graduating from the NLU, they go to Harvard and Oxford every year because that's the dream, a place to do them, the Ivy League universities. They would want to spend a year doing their masters there. And, they used to come to me for my recommendation, LOR, and because am very generous in giving LORs and on short notice, so a lot of them come to me for LORs, and I was surprised when like Oxford has created a separate user name ID for me to submit my LOR because I'm sending the maximum number of LORs to them, right? So these students when they go every year to Harvard and Oxford, they stay in touch with me, and I also ask them like, how are you? They used to be very excited about studying in Harvard or maybe at Oxford. And I always ask them, what excites you more? Why are you so thrilled being here? You were never so thrilled when you were here. You were not so excited when you were studying with us for 5 long years and staying there for 5 months. You feel that you are in a different world altogether, and you believe that that is the best university, and we did nothing to you. It is a real frustration for us when we stay with them for 5 long years, and when we uh, you know do our best to our students, but then they forget it once they move to universities like Harvard and Oxford, and they think that they are the only universities, and they treat us like coaching centers for getting admission in those universities. They treat the Indian law schools as coaching centers. That's all. So I asked them that why are you so excited about being in Harvard? What is that new thing that they are doing, which we did not do here? What does law teachers, the professors in Harvard is doing, which we can't do it here? After all, they are also law teachers. And, at least in India, we have, teachers with master's degree and with doctoral degree, whereas Harvard and Oxford do not have. An undergrad a teacher is teaching at Harvard. He is a professor with just an LLB degree. But your reaction at Harvard is something different, which I never see you so excited when you were here as a student. Then the response, whatever I get, I just analyzed it, compiled it, and what is the final conclusion is like I have a very very good student who had been to both to Oxford first and later to Harvard. This girl, a student of mine, uh, was very close to me, a very wonderful student, very brilliant girl. She went to Oxford, she did a BCL, and then she said that, sir, after staying in Oxford for BCL, again it's a bachelor's degree, I don't have a master's degree. What do I do? Then again she continued with her MPhil there at Oxford. After that, she went to Harvard to do an LLM there. Now, I just very interact with her very casually and try to find out how is it that now you have stayed in Oxford, you have stayed in Harvard, uh, and you also stayed with us for 5 long years. Now, tell me, what is that we are doing or what we are not doing? So that girl is very very honest, and she straight away says, "Sir, what you do is you teach us." I said, "So what is wrong in it?" And what do the teachers in Harvard do? Don't they teach? She said no. She says that you guys teach, but unfortunately, we don't want to be taught. So that is the biggest gap in the Indian law schools. We teach against the wishes of our students because the students do not want to be taught. So then what is this? Then she says, sir, we come to learn. We expect to learn. And we look forward eagerly to learning. And this is what exactly happens in Harvard and Oxford. We get to learn from teachers who have created the knowledge. They can explain things better because of the originality of it. Then, after a lot of interaction with her, I could understand that she's right. Whatever we go and discuss in our classrooms are not our ideas. We are not professors. We don't profess any ideas which belongs to us. In India, as law teachers, we are mere knowledge consumers than a knowledge creator. We don't create knowledge. We just do the job of a postman, reading some book and then throwing it on the students. Catch it here, throw it there. And this is something which she pointed out. Not only she, this is generally the feeling. You can now go and talk to your students and alumni who had gone to these universities and ask them the same question what I asked my students who have returned from Harvard. And so how in Harvard they are appointing someone with just an undergraduate degree as a professor of law. That's because of their original contribution. That guy must be having an LLB degree, but then he must have done a wonderful research, a thorough research on a particular branch of law, and he must have authored a number of articles, he must have published, and he must have created a big knowledge on that particular subject. He must have contributed substantially to the existing body of law. Then the university must have thought that, hey, this guy is writing on that topic very regularly. Why don't we call him to teach? This is not what happens in India. So we are just knowledge consumers. We are not knowledge creators. And as one of my mentor, Professor Phil Thomas, who was heading the Cardiff Law School in UK, where I went and I went for a long training there, and so I stay very close contact with Professor Phil Thomas. Most of our Indian law teachers know him because of his personal connection with India. He says, Shanthakumar, I have been spending a lot of time with Indian teachers. The problem with you guys is that you do not know where to or how to uh, maintain a relationship with students. You guys become more like uncles and aunties. I am quoting Professor Phil Thomas. He says that you become more like uncles and aunties. You are more worried about whether whether they are doing this, that, and all those things. Of course, that's out of my purview, so I'm not going to talk about it. And the second thing that they pointed out is both the students as well as Professor Phil Thomas and I have also experienced personally by interacting with many professors outside the country. When you ask any question to a teacher, maybe in UK or US or in any advanced countries, the a general question, you will not see them answering those questions unless it is pertaining to their domain. For example, if a teacher is teaching IPR, you ask them any question related to IPR in UK, they will. But if you start asking this and that, they will immediately say that I don't know. So this is something which for the first time when I went around and asked the teachers this and that, and then everybody tells the same answer. I don't know. They tell it very proudly, very stylishly. But the students who are going there for studies, they say that that is a strategy. So when you ask any question to a teacher in UK, they will tell you the answer is I don't, and they will make the students find answers to those questions. In India, we feel that it is our responsibility to give them some answer, and in that process, we answer something which the student feels not appropriate. He goes out and then gives a bad review about the teacher. So my recommendation to the early career teachers is that, because Professor Bismi Gopalakrishnan at the beginning said that there are many research scholars, there are many early career teachers in this program. So my recommendation to the early career teachers is that one needs to understand the learning capabilities of learners in the class. Look at their learning potentials, and you need to understand your students better before you go and teach them. And with respect to the learning potentials, researchers have revealed that with every changing generation, the learning style varies. For example, the millennials today are completely a new generation who are currently in our classroom, right? And in fact, the internet is full of materials like the Carnegie Mellon. Please Google for information on this with these keywords: Carnegie Mellon Guide to Law Teaching. They have written such a beautiful book on law teaching methods. Very short. All Carnegie Mellon publications are very, very short and sweet, and then it hits at the point. So this is something, the introduction of innovation in education. It actually allows students to expand their minds and develop skills outside the textbooks, which we do not know. Maybe there might be exceptions. See, I'm not generalizing things. I'm talking about what majority of teachers do, because fortunately, I have a lot of opportunities to interact with the teachers around the country. I just travel crazy, and I meet people at various law schools throughout the country. Like, for example, day before yesterday, I was at Chandigarh. Yesterday, I was attending a program in the Government Law College, Pondicherry, and today I am at Government Law College, Vidupuram. So I keep moving around throughout the nation, meeting, the law school, the leaders, the academic leaders in these institutions. I spend time with the law teachers, and I find that we do not do that. We do not allow our students to expand their minds and develop skills outside the textbooks. We are good at teaching them what is there in the textbook. What is there in CPC? You teach them very well. What is there in IPC? Nobody can beat our teachers. They can teach very well, but that's not required. That's not sufficient. I'll not say. I'm sorry for using the word not required. It is required, but that's not sufficient. Again, I'm fond of Albert Einstein. Uh, I would want to quote Albert Einstein once more. He says, imagination is the real sign of intelligence. Hence, it is quintessential that we change and improve learning, educating, and teaching methods according to society's changing dynamics. Innovative teaching methods are necessary to channel innovative education and to help learners understand and solve the modern day challenges, break futile social constraints, and grow towards a more sustainable future. So, this is what I thought I should say to all of you. In fact, it's almost 1 hour, 10 minutes. I think I should conclude here uh, again with a quote by an author called Terry Hick. He has a site called Teach Thought, who says that you can't teach if you are exhausted. You can't teach if you are misinformed. You can't teach too hard on yourself. If you are too hard on yourself, you can't teach if you are disconnected with the legal profession and with the world, and if you do not know what is happening. You can't teach if you misunderstand your role in some critical way. And believe me, he says, it is not your job to save the world. Every child needs something different. And if we do not know what is that different thing that is required of uh, the generation of lawyers who are going to be there in the future, we are doing injustice to our job, we are doing injustice to our students in the class, and therefore we need to try and do something so that we are not misinformed, we are well informed, we are very well connected with the legal profession, and we actually really understand our role in a very critical way. So, with these few words, I wish to stop here. Maybe we can open the house for discussion because it's long time that I have been speaking alone, and it will be nice that if we can respond to some queries. I could see from the chat that uh, one participant called Amu has written, it's very difficult for the law graduates after completion of their graduation to practice in the court of law because they are not getting any practical experience from their law schools and they need to spend again few more years for getting experience in law. Why? Is there any initiative? So this is something which we always complain. Everybody complains in every meeting, every FDP, every conference, we talk about it. But after the conference, we don't do anything. This is something. Then Neeti Chako has written, sir, as you rightly said, the students of this generation likes to learn and do not prefer the old school teaching techniques of forcing our views on them. How well can we improve on our teaching methods at the same time maintain a cordial relationship with students? Madam, I think you should invite me. So I will do a one-day workshop on how do you make students learn, how to stop teaching and make and help students learn. I think we should. That is what in fact, I'm writing one article on this topic. Teachers, please stop teaching. You should stop teaching and you should start making students learn. Right. So that is something which is a strategy again. It's not rocket science. It's very easy, provided you understand your students better. So I think that requires a physical programming. We can't discuss this online. Maybe sometime we can request Bismi Madam to do a one-day workshop exclusively on this thing, like how to stop teaching and make students learn. Right. So that will be a very nice topic for a one-day workshop. 1 or 2 days we can do. I think 2 days workshop will be good. That we can make everybody participate in it so that they take home something. Yes, Needi Dinamani is writing. Please suggest some innovative teaching methods. There is plenty, madam. Like there is. It's not like one model will suit one particular subject. See, each subject have to be taught in a different way because each subject is different. So there can't be one method of teaching or one method of making students learn. So there are multiple methods. Like for example, like I very frequently teach environmental law, and I one day did an introspection of my own teaching methods, and then I found out that in that entire semester I had used 14 different methods. So in one subject you can follow 14 different methods of teaching, or making students learn, because that is something which is very so for each subject we will have to come about, but then there is a long list of common methods which we should be familiar with, and then we can start customizing to our own subjects. Whatever, if you are teaching constitutional law, the method that what is applied in environmental law might not be suitable there, so you can use a different method there. So those all those things, other than lecturing, of course you can't discard lecturing. Lecturing is something which law schools cannot discard. We can't afford to. But other than lecturing, at least you should use lecturing only for 20% of teaching in the law schools. Remaining 80% should be other methods. And again, that's what we do in a 5-day workshop. But then that can be done by hand holding and practically doing something. Do you think that the law teachers of Dr. Krishna Kumar is asking a very pertinent question? Many people ask me this question, and including me. In the first instance, when I was an early career teacher, I also had the same question. Nay, can a law teacher do anything about it? Because it's the institution which has to do something. I had the same thought, Dr. Krishna Kumar, but I disagree with you completely, because what is to be taught is prescribed by the university. Teachers don't have a role. What is to be taught? Because bar council says something, the university says something. So you will have to listen to the bar council. So you don't have a role on what is to be taught. But how it should be taught is completely in your hands. What you do inside your classroom, nobody is concerned. Your vice chancellor or bar council chairman is not going to say that you should teach this topic by following this method. Nobody tells. And that is where you can really make a difference. And that is where you can really make a difference. So I personally believe that law teachers of today have the freedom to mold their teaching method, not the content. Content will remain the same. And again, as an individual in the system, we can't change the entire content. Content somebody else decides. The bar council says, the university, you have your board of studies, your academic council, you have your deans. They all decide. But whatever curriculum it is, but then you can always do something. But as an institution, yes, institution need to support this innovation by teachers, and institution can support. Like for example, like you can't say that. See, you spoke so much about artificial intelligence and the legal analytics for law practice, but my university doesn't offer this course. Your university need not offer. All the things in the world cannot be offered as a part of the curriculum. You will have to design certain value based courses. What now NAC says, value addition courses, VA courses. You do a short term course, and don't compel anybody to attend. Make it optional. Don't conduct any examination. Let it be an audit course. Do a 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks course, on artificial intelligence and law, artificial intelligence on human rights. Bring experts. Do it outside your teaching hours. Don't disturb the regular teaching. Do something innovative. That is innovation. Innovation is not completely, throwing this system and bringing a new system. Within this system, within all these limitations, resource limitations, time constraints, within all these things, if you come out with something novel, like at the time of my introduction, the gentleman who introduced me said that I got an award from Asian Development Bank as an environmental law champions development award. And how did I get that award? I'll tell you. I was teaching environmental law that previous year, and I had to give them an assignment because internal assessment is part of the curriculum, and it was for 20 marks. I generally what we do is we give them some topic, they research, and then they type something, they spiral bind it and submit it in the name of project. You evaluate, and most of the time it is rubbish or it is authored by somebody else. There is no learning outcome in it. So that again, an internal assessment is your choice. You decide what to do, how to give them these students. So I came out with an objective assessment criteria. I said that the environmental law students of my class will not submit a written assignment. Rather, you will submit a video, a 5-minute video, and I said you both have to It can be a team project. Two students can do this project. You go identify an environmental problem, find out who are responsible for it, and suggest changes. That what if you are given the power, what will you change? So they picked up topics and then they went around and they did a lot of things. So one thing, if you are from Gurgaon, you can see that there is a beautiful lake now, beautified in the middle of the city. When I was teaching that subject in Gurgaon, that was an encroached place full of tire dealers, vendors, burning tires. It was most dirtiest place people would hesitate to cross. So two of my students, took that as a problem site. They went to that area. They went with their camera to record it because it was a video project. They need to submit a video. One went with a mic to interview the stakeholders there, and another went with a question. And they went to the municipal authorities. They went to the councillor elected, their elected councillor, municipal councillor, asked him, in your constituency, such a beautiful natural resource is being encroached. What are you doing? So he gave some explanation and he said, no, no, I can't do anything. It is the collector who will have to do, corporation will have to do. These boys, young boys, 18, 19-year-old students, they went to the collector's office, took a time with the collector, and then they said that, sir, we are worried, it's a very beautiful piece of natural lake that it is now, it's perishing. It's almost in the verge of encroachment, it will die. So what are you doing? Then the collector said, yeah, this is a very important thing, let me look into it. Maybe can you come after 2 3 weeks? So he called the students 1 month later. And believe me, when the students went 1 month later to meet the collector, they went not with a camera, they went with a bouquet of flowers and a lot of other things to appreciate the collector. Because within the next 1 month, the time, the collector immediately deployed a team to completely remove all the encroachments on that land, created a boundary wall around that lake, and made it a beautiful park around it, and made it such a lovely place that everybody would want to visit the place. So this change just happened because of a project. The same thing happened in one girl student went to an electric crematorium. The electric crematorium was not functioning, and then they were using large amount of wood to burn the dead bodies there. No, it was a surprise for a girl student to stand in the middle of a cremation ground where the dead bodies were burning, and then she highlighted this issue, and then she calculated how much of wood is used to burn, especially in cremation ground in Delhi, and how much of air pollution that this will cause. And then she said that why not an electric crematorium, and why this could not be repaired and made it. And believe me, within 15 days, the electric crematorium started functioning, and the Delhi government banned burning of bodies with the help of wood. So when this Asian Development Bank, called for this nominations for awards, so I presented these videos. I submitted these videos to them, that innovation in teaching environmental law, and then I was picked up for this award. So a small thing, how it can not only change your teaching, but then it can change really the society, and it can do something good to the society. So that is what is my questions. Sashindran is telling, sir, you have not seen my question. I am in an institution which produces too many successful law graduates every year, but I am not happy at that because, in my opinion, most of them are not equipped to face their real tasks. Sashindran, I share your concerns. That's really true. This is exactly the scenario what we are talking about. I think we need to meet frequently and discuss about some strategy. Lisha, sir, how we can introduce artificial intelligence in teaching? Because in businesses we are using some software and oh, it has already come. For want of time, I did not discuss, though I was prepared for that. Again, because that should be a separate session where using artificial intelligence in teaching and learning, which I have. I have this complete resource with me. I was completely prepared, but today we do not have time. Maybe some other session, some other time, we can actually do on using AI for law teaching. What pedagogies, Ajish Selvan, what pedagogies should universities adopt to transfer relevant skills to law students effectively in the realm? See, before we transfer relevant skills, we teachers need to possess these skills. So I think the first part of your question is that uh, how to transfer relevant skills to law students. Before that, how to acquire those skills with the law teachers first. Once we have that skills, transferring the skills is not a problem. Ali Moon has written, sir, you pointed out the privatization of privatization of arbitration. Having participated in an online ad hoc session for meeting my internship days during COVID, and the first day some lawyers protested against it, wrote some letter to bar council and all as to stop it. Also, one of the judge was not happy that we are participating in facilitating the session. I said, no, no, you are right, Ali Moon, that there will be resistance. That's what I said. We should start recognizing the change, and we should, resisting change will always happen. Any new thing which comes in, people will resist, unless and until it is enjoyable. Like you don't resist TikTok, you don't resist making reels because you enjoy doing it. So you will have to make it enjoyable. We need to adopt it. We need to recognize it. We need to do a lot of hard work in making people accept it. Dr. Soni Vijan, how can we prepare our students to face challenges offered by technology? All domains are influenced by technology. Legal profession is not an exception. Dr. Soni Vijan, I wish to differ from your opinion. Legal profession is not influenced by technology is not true. Only thing is we are not aware of what kind of things are happening in the legal profession. So that's what I think. Sashindran's first question, I think I missed it. A law teacher in an affiliated college can simply follow the curriculum prepared by the university. Students are also interested in scoring high marks by simply learning important topics. No, that's what I agree with you. We need to do a systematic change, and I'm happy that deans like Professor Bishni is thinking about that. How do we do it? So that is the reason that why Madam had created this FDP and identified topics that what we need to talk, which are futuristic. In fact, the topic that was given to me also like how do we prepare law teachers for a globalized legal world, globalized world. So I think we have started doing things, and when we do things very frequently like this, more knowledge will flow, and each one can learn from each other, and I think we can become a wonderful team in doing it. So I think I have answered almost all the questions that were is written. Are there any more questions? That's all. I think I have done. So thank you so much, Madam Professor Bismi. Thank you so much.